I can't make this up. Like right before I started filming this, one of the studio panels just fell off. This was here before, and the nail or the screw that was holding it in place just snapped, and now we've got two holes in the wall, and now you're gonna see this in the background of the video. No! What is good, everybody? My name is Leo, also known as Icebox, and this is going to be a breakdown of how we produce November. You guys have been loving the release, and this has been a highly requested video on my IG stories. You guys made it hit 10K! Congratulations to you guys. This is one of those songs that I feel super proud of when I made it. It had a bunch of producers involved in it as well, so I'll take you through some of the stories. Even before I released it, I've been replaying this already, and I kind of already knew that a lot of people will have loved this when it came out. So thank you guys so much for the love. I got nothing else to say. Let's jump into the breakdown. Before I get into any of the production details, I think it's worth telling you guys a little bit of background of the song. Our friend Daniel Lang, who is a producer in KL, shout out to him. He came down to Singapore. In that one session, we managed to churn out this demo. Initially, it wasn't even called November, it was called Distance, and this is what it sounded like.
I see the sun in November. I see forever in your eyes. But you're still never in the reveries in my mind.
This was kind of concurrent, like around the same time we were making July. While I was focusing on that, I kind of just left this in the dust to kind of rot around. After a while, I revisited it, called Tim, because we just came off of July from that. We rewrote and rearranged a lot of the parts in the song, and the version that you're hearing today is kind of like evolved, more refined, polished version of this original demo. I think the first big decision I made to change was the drums. I was listening to Spotify, and Ruel just dropped his new song. I think it was Made It Awkward, and I really loved how poppy the drums sounded, so I thought I'd go something more like that. So I went for a little bit more of a drier, kind of more punchy and upfront sound selection. There's this hi-hat with microshift on. Yeah, and I thought that was just a pretty neat detail. Let's talk about the guitar. So this acoustic is something that was taken straight out of the original demo. So I think the original one was in F. I'm just transposing all of these to D, which ended up being the key of the track. I thought this was a pretty neat technique because when you're playing in F major, there's certain voicings that you can't just bar chord down. You get this really nice color that you otherwise can't get without using this transposition method. I'm layering it with this little rhythm guitar in the chorus. I'm putting both of these guys through an amp on Archetype. It's a DI Shimmer preset. I'm just changing a bunch of things on the EQ on the amp as well as the distortion. And I'm just cleaning them up with a little bit of EQ over here. I'm putting both of them in a bus where I'm saturating them a little bit more with magma, and then I'm glue compressing them. So you kind of get this really nice, meaty, like muddy, sort of dirty grunge layer that's in the sides. And I'm layering that with this little muted guitar. I think this was bounced directly from Lang's Ableton file. I thought this layer worked really well, and then when you layer it with the acoustic, it just sounds so full. In the pre-choruses, there's these guys over here. Yeah, everyone's been asking how I got the effect on that line. Fortunately, again, can't show you guys, but if I remember correctly, it's just compression and an amp sim from Ableton. Like that's really it. I think most of these tones are like stock Ableton. I'm adding manipulator to kind of like add this low mid layer to beef it up a little bit more. And then I'm saturating that with some magma little tube. There's this little harmonic that plays in this part of the pre. There's one thing that I forgot to mention. It's this little track over here. I just started recording a bunch of licks in D major, and then I'm reversing this, and then I'm using it to make these little distortion kind of textures over here. Shout out to Lang. I learned that trick from him actually. Let's go to the synths. I recorded a bunch of chords on the JX, but I'm keeping in mind that there's already a lot of chordal information that the guitars are giving. So I'm really only playing a lot of the low voicings. Super VHS chorus. Also just EQing and rolling off a lot of the high mids. And then you're gonna see me doing this a lot in my tracks. I use shaper box at a low mix to kind of just give it a pumpy pad feel. Made this little ARP with the JX that just syncopates through the whole thing. Sounds like this. Similar effects, super VHS, saturating it with a little bit of magma. We're going a little bit harder on this, but we're on the soft sensitivity. Some tremolo to kind of pan left and right in a syncopated manner, and we're putting it through a plate reverb to kind of give it like a little bit of space. After that, I am adding this little top synth in. It only comes in like the second chorus. This one, I'm actually putting it through Serum Effects. So they have this really cool distortion algorithm called Diode 1, where if you kind of drive it a lot, and you put it on a pre-EQ mode, it'll filter the sound before the distortion. What happens is that it creates these like new harmonics in the high end. And then I'm just putting that through a little bit of plate, and then it sounds like that. This is one of those vocal melodies that I was actually hearing for a chorus. We just thought this melody was a little bit too weak to become a top line, but at the same time I thought it was a little bit too good to throw away, so I ended up just putting it kind of as like a post-chorus melody that you hear in the background. So this is what it sounds like. One more night, just to pretend. I'm putting it through like a typical vocal chain. I'm just using stuff like format shifting, manipulating the stereo space so it's a little bit wider, and I'm using this Trans-X multi to kind of take out all the attack so that all those consonants don't get in the way of the actual vocal. I'm putting it through a lot of reverb, so it's really pushed in the back, and then there's this shaper box that kind of sidechains it, and this is on 100%. So yeah, in context, after that we got this little vocal drone over here. It sounds like this raw. Just putting that through a little bit of alter boy to change the format. After that, I'm putting it through some auto-tune just to lock the pitch a little bit, and then we're putting this saturation to boost the high end so it just comes out a little bit more. And I'm cleaning it up with a little bit of EQ, so just rolling off a lot of those low end frequencies that you don't really need. Altogether, the synths and guitars sound like this. And I tell you, when I got this like stack of sounds, I just could not help but smile. For the bass, it's a lot like July. Really simple, just a little bit of a different setting on the CLA bass and that decapitator to give it some grit. I also thought there was some like missing information in the stereo space for the low end. So I'm putting this like Reese bass over it. I'm just using some EQ to kind of like tame all the mid frequencies over here. So you end up just getting this super nice warm synth bass that hugs the main one from the sides. Vocal chain is almost the exact same in July. Compression, this EQ, just made some slight changes in the low mids, kind of like maybe I think I shifted it up a little bit. Putting on this Saturn for some high-end boosting, this Soothe 2 for some de-essing, this Magma for some saturation, Echo Boy for slapback, and Valhalla for some room reverb. Never shines on my face. Guess we could start with the chorus take. So this is what the entire stack sounds like. So now I lose my mind trying to figure it out. I think we focused a lot on like choosing what harmonies we really wanted. So for one, once we got the lead vocals down, we just kind of got that out of the way, and we paid a lot more attention to like the harmonies. So like there's this double over here, and then there's this like little high harmony, and then the low harmony was just me. The low harmony gives it a very different character, because this song was originally written about missing your loved ones from across the border. you know, like distance, like long distance relationship. No matter how hard you try to get close to them, they are always like out of your reach. And then we ended up just kind of like taking that whole theme and using that for some of the melodic choices over here. We're doing the same stuff in July, where we're putting a gang vocal on for the chorus. So this is what it sounds like. There's this like high note that Michaela hits, and it gives like the whole stack this kind of like black gospel-y church choir flavor in the harmonies. So I'm gonna play the gang without it and with it. So, and then when you hear that high harmony over there, it just like take me to church, bro. Well, we got this chant that we sang earlier in the bridge. Feels like you just walked out the door. And this is a technique that I've seen a lot of producers like Max Martin do with like artists like Taylor Swift or Sabrina and Ariana Grande, which is taking a consistent kind of like pre-chorus bridgey melody and then layering it underneath on final choruses. So in this open section, it just sits really well. I really love it when these vocals kind of like come together and you get this super complex, very active, dynamic like last section. I think that's pretty much most of the stuff that we did for November. Thank you guys so much again for the love on this song. This one really means a lot to me. Not so often that I'm super proud of one of my tracks, so much so that I'll have it on replay while waiting for it to be released on Spotify. Once again, special shout outs to Lang. It's been a really great process kind of producing this one. If you guys have any suggestions for what content you guys want to see on this channel, please leave it in the comments below as well. I'll be looking at each and every one of them. This is how we made November. Go streaming right now. Show it some love.